at an old quarry in Georgia, murdered at night. Do you see anything between that similarity with the story I've just told you? Somebody made him famous first so that it will raise a lot of emotions. But you see, the public sees that boy as a victim of a government. Which government would commit such a crime when they are going to gain nothing out of it? So, ladies and gentlemen, in propaganda, especially the capital ones which involve murder, abductions, before you conclude who has done it, ask yourself, who stands to benefit the most? Who stands to benefit the most? If a person who has been opposed to the government dies, and he's a small person like that, do you think the government will benefit on his death? Today, I am very sure, if any of the three front-running opposition leaders die today, you will yourself, without being prodded, wake up and say it is the government which has done it. Yet the government has nothing to gain because the remaining two would even be more formidable opponents. The only person who would gain is these two remaining, because now one opponent is down, they are most likely going to be the sole candidates. So in propaganda, ask yourself, okay, somebody has been killed, somebody has been abducted, if any, who stands to gain the most? And finally, but something I want you to remember, there was a young man who was kidnapped in Mombasa. He was a blogger and sodomized at a police station. Do you remember?
Yes.
The case came out that it was some leader who did it, isn't it?
Yes.
What I'm telling you, in these police stations we have around here, including one where Albert Ojwang died, people with money and influence can infiltrate them and murder somebody in there and get out after bribing, and nobody will even know it was done from an outsider and not from the police service. Thank you.
No applause for Mwalimu. A standing ovation will do, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mwalimu. And at this juncture, I want to open the floor. But before I open the floor, I would love to hear the insights of my former member of parliament. What do you think about propaganda, Mheshimiwa?
Unfortunately,
Do you have a mic? Yes, mic, please.
thank you very much, Emmanuel, for this. But I'm part of the audience, so I would want the younger generation to eat fast, because what they're going to eat, the old man had already eaten.
Oh, yes.
Then I will come later. Thank you very much.
Emmanuel.
Yes.
I know. Mheshimiwa Owino had asked to leave a little earlier.
Yeah.
So if there is any question there in the audience,
Yes.
to be directed at him,
Yes.
take them first.
All right, no problem. Anybody who has a question for Mheshimiwa Owino?
Or we can just do them generally, then we will respond to his first.
Okay, no problem. I think there's a first question there.
Yes. Good
Is this
evening.
okay? Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Charles Owino. This one I would really wish to, if you can help us understand this, because you are speaking from a perspective that you also help the government in coordinating its communication throughout all the departments. And again, the communication is controlled, but what do you think could be unamicable ways that can be helped so that we make sure that the people who are in the ground, the majority of the citizens, are not being misguided, particularly from the mainstream media? What are the ways that are coming up so that we can control misguiding of majority of the population through this particular platform that we have? Like, for example, we have the majority are being misguided even within some of these rallies. They are not genuine, but the information is just reaching us. So we because we are the receiver of the information, it is not our problem. So what should be really done so that we can make sure we have authentic information in the ground? Thank you.
Yeah, next, we want to take three first. Any question? Okay, from the back.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Colin Skirui, and the question that I'm having today is to
Maybe somebody can rise up so that.
Raise up, please.
yeah. My name is Colin Skirui, and I just want to direct my question to Sir Owino. The fact that we are all here as Gen Zs and we've been told everything about propaganda, and it's a good platform, and I greatly appreciate. But I would love to know, as Mr. Owino is part of the Communication Authority of Kenya, what are the measures that they put in place to make sure that young youth are educated more about propaganda, so that at least we do not destroy our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, this one.
Okay, thank you. My question to Mr. Charles Owino is one. We find that the weaponization as of a state against its people normally goes between the officers and the civilians. As the man in charge of the communication, what so far are you looking up to help the public receive the most vital information and help them to distinguish between a propaganda and the exact information? Like right now, what we are receiving on the media is that the ongoing political events on the western side of Kenya is involved in chaos. But the side we are receiving is that the police officers are destabilizing the meeting. But what leads to the destabilization of the meeting is not shared to us. So as at the end of the communication, how can we help the public to consolidate the two sides of the stories to make them understand that what led to this and how everything happened, so that we can end the scenario of propaganda to conflict the state?
Thank you so much. This, by the way, this town hall conversation is live on Odoyo Widi's Facebook page, so you can just check it out as we continue. Mr. Wino, karibu sana.
It's okay, thank you. I think all your questions are based on one major thing. How do we manage coordinating communication and giving the right information to the public? You know, they always say that when you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name, isn't it?
Yes.
The biggest advantage we have is that in our population, we're now about over 50 million, over 25 million Kenyans are on social media. All of them. We have what we call mobile, and in government we call it mobile first. Everybody, majority of the people, and most of you who have gone to school, you have mobile phones, and therefore you'll get a lot of information through your phones in terms of communication. And what happens is that government need more interaction with the public in terms of explanation. You remember when we had the first how do you call it? The bill, the finance bill, which brought to demonstrations and so on. The finance bill was not explained to many people because the language that they use in finance bill is technical. So there were so many good things in that bill that people never got to understand. If you look at the finance bill for the previous year, you saw before it came out to the public, there was a lot of discussion and engagement. So basically what government is doing, or the nation is doing, is to ensure that there's a lot of engagement and explanation on what is right and what is not right. It's not a time to fight with people. It's a time just to ensure that you explain to people what you think is genuine, what you think is the right information. Because also, government cannot get involved in propaganda. Because if government gets involved in propaganda, then government will lose public. People who are informed like you, once you discover that this is a propaganda, then you will not be able to trust government anymore. How can government be involved in propaganda? So government continues to be involved in factualities and explaining even what is wrong. Although I has told you that I can pull sympathy, I can whip emotions from you. By doing something very wrong, having another group, I create chaos. Once the chaos are created, police must come in. The police will throw tear gas and they say, oh, police are disrupting our rally. Because they know if that happens, then you whip the emotions. What do you gain from destabilizing a rally of an opponent of the president. If you are government, if you work for government, then it means you know very well you are disadvantaging the government. So what's happening is we need to keep on talking. We need to have more town halls, interact with you, discuss, explain what it is, so that people are more informed. So what is most important is repeated, continuous communication with the public. If government communicates with its public and the public are able to listen, and even for you people, you choose what you think is right and disseminate that information. So what we are trying to do is come up with more discussions, town halls, interactions. We have to answer questions from you. The Ministry of Information, Communication, and Telecom is coming up with what we call e-Baraza, where they'll be able to communicate to the public, you'll be able to send questions, they'll be able to answer. Because if you don't have an answer to a question, then it becomes very, very difficult for you to be able to resolve what the problem is. So what is most important is continuous discussion with the public and repeated. He said, for example, even if I want to, I can give him a bad name and say he's a thief. And I repeat it every day, he's a thief, he's a thief. People will believe he's a thief. So even in this case, we need to keep on talking to the people, but on factualities, not on propaganda. If this is what government has done, we say it's what government has done. If the level of employment is, we are getting, the rate of unemployment is high, we admit the rate of unemployment is high, but we also explain that since we came to government, these are the number of employment opportunities that we have created. Are you getting me? Because you'll hear something about, like, for example, SHA. People do not know, even parliamentarians do not know the difference between SHA and SHIF. SHA is the Social Health Act, isn't it? Then it has brought in 3 or 4 fundings. The Social Health Insurance Fund, which is SHIF, which is similar to NHIF. Because it is contributory, you contribute to get social health insurance fund, isn't it? Yeah. Then we have critical and chronic illness fund, where if this money is exhausted, then government allocates money to treat, let's say, a cancer patient. Then we have the primary healthcare fund, which is supposed to pay for, if you go to a local dispensary, you're not supposed to pay any money. You just go, you are treated, and you leave. And then we have what we call development fund, where you are supposed to develop hospitals the same way we develop schools with the CDF. But these things are at the formatory stages. I want to give you a very painful example. Today, my mother is sick. She does not have the SHIF. Then I go there, I pay for SHIF at 300 shillings or at 600 shillings for a whole year, 7,200. Then my mother goes through a procedure which government pays, which SHIF pays 200,000. When my mother is cured, I don't continue remitting. Where will government get money for SHIF? Where now the people who are now suffering are the civil servants, because civil servants is mandatory. You must pay SHIF. So we are relying on the money from the civil servants without realizing that this is a pooling effect. So if all Kenyans can pool, pull together. Your mother brings her 300, brings her 200. You know how much money we can have? A lot of money. But this requires education and understanding. Before you run to say, because if somebody says, SHA is wrong, when I form government, so when you form government, what will you bring? And how long will you take to bring it? And if you bring NHIF, you're just bringing SHIF in another name, minus this other funds. Are you getting me? So our communication requires that government should explain their position every day, and engage with you people. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, excuse.
Yeah.
It's good you've explained it so well. So do you also have a recommendation that, because for the government to do this continuous discussions, continuous engagement with the society, then they need to have more people, because through that is the only way the information can reach us down here. So maybe if you have your time with them, tell them that the information is not right here because our channels is not complete. We cannot, some of us, we get the information, but how many people are there to explain? Maybe not all. So I think the channels so that this information can reach the ground and they reach the ground facts and properly. So maybe the government needs more people. You can give them as a recommendation. Thank you.
Not maybe. The government needs more people always. But what we are saying is every one of us has a role to play. It's just like you can be a very brilliant student, but you like truancy. Your father is putting money in school, but you are a truant. What comes up is instead of attaining the A you would have gotten to go to a better program, you end up with a C. And you go to a primary teachers training college, which is not your capacity. So basically what is happening is the communities must also understand their role and put in. And that is why an average student, your brother, who is a B material, works and burns the lamp and gets an A. He pulls himself to a certain capacity. So even as members of the public, we have a responsibility. There are many people who are just saying, government is not, government is not. He has land, he can till it, but he just sleeps. So even when government needs more people, government also needs more committed people, not just more people. Yes.
We have one here. Okay. Yeah, just start and then Mheshimiwa.
Okay, thank you once again. My concern is, I think in the last recent years, we had an issue of abduction that later came to reality that it was not executed by the government. After that scenario that happened in Kitengela, when that guy self-abducted himself for some days. Now as the head of the communication in the police department, how slow is it that you take too long to compile a report regarding such scenarios to make the public understand that some issues that are being put on the government are sometimes being facilitated by individuals who are not part of the system? Because by then the public were made to believe that the government was after the young people who are activists online. But after that scenario of Kitengela self-abduction, we realized that the frequent abductions complaints reduced. But up to now, there's no compiled report and the police investigation that who did this and which action did the government take on such matters.
Is okay, thank you. First of all, I'm not the head of communication of police. I used to be the police spokesperson. But now I coordinate communication in all government departments, all government MDAs, ministries. Go to Foreign Affairs, you find me, you go to Ministry of Communication, Roads, I coordinate communication in all of them. Investigations begins with you. Police don't get information from Hewa. Police get information from individuals. There are many Kenyans who still fear passing information even when they have it. So many a times if you find the police has not given, the police may know, but they need factualities so that when they release a matter, then it is factual. How many of you can volunteer after you've seen a road accident to go to the police station and say, me I saw, and record a statement? Even if the police will do nothing to you, you first think of your time. Sasa nikienda polisi kurecord statement, waniweke huko, waseme nitarudi kotini. Are you seeing that? But you are the one who was present. How do you expect that person who has died and even the police to get justice without you volunteering information? So we need you to volunteer information as members of the public and support, no matter the implications and the pain that and time it takes to manage that information. Because the truth is, once you give that information, you have to be going to court to give evidence.
Okay. And Mr. Ogino had a question here.
Thank you very much. And first of all, let me congratulate our presenters for your solid and insightful presentations. I have two questions. Number one, why is it that we find it easier and juicy to consume propaganda than to consume hard facts? In that way, I find most of the social media platforms very busy, as opposed to maybe search engines that deal with facts. Number two, on mainstream media, why is it that I find mainstream media giving the same news and information across board. I hardly see any diversity. It's like they connive or they are controlled. Why is that the case? I expect independent media houses to be giving independent stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay. Number one, if you have a swelling here, you have a swelling here. No, I'm saying if you have a swelling here, what happens? Do you touch here?
No.
You keep on touching here, isn't it? It's just natural that you will keep on touching where you're not supposed even to touch. It becomes sweeter. People tend to, it is like they are saying that good things don't give you good news. Like they say, when a dog bites you, it's normal for a dog to bite you. So it's not news. But when you bite a dog, ati so and so bit the dog. Aliuma umbwa yao, ama umbwa ya fulani. Sini news.
Yeah.
That is why even the negative things, Mheshimiwa, tend to attract more interest than what is normal. What is normal does not attract news. What attracts news is what is abnormal. Are you getting me?
Yes.
So whatever propaganda people give are always abnormal. So they attract more news than what is normal. If you tell people today, the rally in Kakamega went on smoothly, nobody will even check what did they say.
Yes.
But if they say, hey, walipigwa tear gas, everybody rises to social media to see vile walipigwa nini?
Dear God.
It's a normal human behavior, which we need to transit from. But equally, very difficult to transit from. Mainstream media is a careful media because it's a media that must always report what they have truly confirmed. Because there are consequences of saying something which is not factual. But just this young guy will not even care. Yeah, hata hana kiatu ya kuuza. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So he will just be careless. So sometimes from the mainstream media, Mavi Kaoko has nothing to lose. She'll say anything. And everybody would want to listen to Mavi because she can say what other people cannot do or cannot say. So mainstream media sometimes are a little bit more careful because of the consequences and implications of what they say. In event it is found not to be correct. Yes.
Okay. On the advice, you can come in on that.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm loving the
Can
question.
stop shortly so that I can.
No problem.
Yeah.
So I think you can give us your last word before you leave.
Is okay.
Yes.
What I can tell you is that I have to turn this. Always remain factual. That does not mean that you cannot come up and say this is wrong. We are not bringing you up to be sycophants. Are you getting me?
Yes.
But if you get your mother naked, do you shout and call people? My mother is naked. No. If the scene is not pleasant for you, you can call your sister to cover your mother, isn't it? So even our country, what we are saying is, don't fail to point out what is wrong, but do it in the right way so that we don't escalate things unnecessarily. But always be ready to point out what is wrong. So we are not bringing you up to be sycophants. No. We are saying what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. But how do we put it? For purposes of our cohesiveness, our unity, and our growth. If you look at most of the countries who have had problems, what happens? It's like your parents have not paid fees to you. You don't know why they have not paid fees. And then you run away from school because fees was not paid. Who loses? It is you who loses. So what I can say is resilience. being factual, pointing out at what is wrong in the right way is what will guide us and will take us far as a country.
Thank you so much. Round of applause for Mr. Thank you so much. Yeah, that is. Okay. Thank you so much. And I wanted advice to get into the question that Mheshimiwa had asked about.
Yeah. Thank you, Adams. Now, that was a very interesting question because I remember the question was about why do we find it easier? Why do we find it easier to consume propaganda? And this is the reason why we find it easier to consume propaganda. Number one is because propaganda is sweet and propaganda is consoling. The reason why it is propaganda holds a very pinnacle space in our existence is because propaganda puts the burden of responsibility on someone else. And all of us love it when the burden of responsibility is placed at the doorstep of someone else who is not us. So propaganda makes you believe that you are good and the other person is bad. Propaganda justifies why you are in the situation that you are in. So even if you are seated at home and have done nothing to look for a job, but now there is propaganda that says that there is now someone we can blame for your joblessness, you will jump onto it because now there is someone that we can actually blame. So even if you were sent to Nairobi University, like our comrades here, and after you go to Nairobi University, you ran away from the university and went to Thika to do your own things. Okay? Yes. When you hear that there is a lecturer's strike, it makes you very happy. Why? Because then you can justify that, you know what, the reason why I scored badly is because we were not taught. Because now that covers the fact that you are actually not in school. So propaganda, that is how it actually operates. It operates on the fact that it is more consoling and it is sweet to consume. We all love a numbing effect. We love something that when we hear or when it comes to us, it makes us feel like we are more responsible than everyone else. It makes us feel like the other people are wrong and we are right. That's why it is always easier to lump all blame on governments. Why? Because after you lump the blame on government, you look responsible. Yeah? It is the same thing even in your relationships. They are also full of propaganda. Because in your relationship, you never see where you are going wrong. You are always accusing the other person. You are always saying the reason why this relationship is not moving is because of you. How many times do you in your relationship say the reason why there is a problem in that relationship is because of me? Rarely. Because, now that is the whole scale of what propaganda is about. We love to consume it because it makes us feel nice about ourselves and it places the burden of responsibility on someone else. And now there was another question about our media houses and why sometimes they do the things that they do. And one of the things I'll tell you is that number one, we have to accept the reality that we are dripping into lazy journalism in Kenya. Lazy journalism is whereby, because remember, it is again people of our generation, me and our comrades here and Adam, that are in these media houses. So we cannot be able to say we are lazy here, but when we get to the media, there's a miracle that happens. So there's also a bit of some of the media houses want to exercise just lazy journalism where you just combine the few things that are easy to find on social media and make them news. You don't want to dig deeper into getting the facts. Because getting facts is some job. You have to do some work. You have to dig in. Now, sometimes we just don't want to do that. Yeah? And two, negativity sells. Not because negativity sells everywhere in the world, but we are a society that has been able to make ourselves love negativity. And because of that, the media wants to sell to us what we want to hear, because we want to hear negativity. It is not the whole world. I want to challenge you that tomorrow morning or on Monday, when you're buying the newspaper in the street of Kenya, also, as you Google the newspaper headlines of Kenya, Google the newspaper headline in South Africa, Google the newspaper headline in China, and see whether China will be speaking negativity as well in their country on all their newspapers. But on our newspapers, we'll find negativity from top to bottom. Why? Because we have been accustomed to want to consume negative things and want to consume a lot of negative energy. And that's why our media wants to actually spin it in that direction. Because at the end of the day, we all want to feel nice about ourselves. We all want to feel like the reason there is a problem is because of someone else. I want to ask you a simple question.
Yes.
Since we were all born, have you ever discovered that there is no point where government was good? I don't know. Me, since I was born, I have never had a time when people said, wow, now this government is very good. Have you ever found that moment? All governments have always been bad, right? And then when we go to the next government, the previous one has always been good. So my question is, why has previous governments always been good, and then the current government is the one that is bad, and then when we move to the next government, it also becomes the one that is bad, and then the previous one becomes the one that is good? Have you asked yourself, why is it that the world operates like that, or why is it that we in Kenya operate like that? It's because we love a good feeling. So when we have a new government, then the best feeling is to say, the other one was better than this one, so that we lay our blame on now this one. And that is the whole mark of why we largely consume that kind of propaganda. Yeah.
Thank you. And I wanted Mwalimu to also answer that, Mheshimiwa Ogindo's question about the mainstream media and how propaganda sells.
My answer normally in such are very blunt.
Tell us.
I don't sugarcoat the issue we have with the mainstream media in the country. All of you watch TV once in a while. Start with the composition of the political analysts that are normally brought on individual stations. There is one particularly called Fixing the Nation. If you look at the people who have ever been invited there, they are anti-government people. And this is a government of Kenya elected by Kenyans. It also deserves people who speak positively of it. And if you ever find somebody there who is pro-government, he has been brought there to be grilled. If you don't believe that, go and start watching. Today, probably because you have never taken your time, watch the media. The moment certain names are mentioned in call-ins, you know what I mean, call-ins?
Yes.
You call a radio station, you
Like-
call a TV station to give an opinion. There are certain names that if you mention tap, they say network, they cut you off. Then you go to the standard media. You look at the headlines of every standard newspaper. I have a stream of them. I have like 60 of them that I have profiled. Then you call this is journalism or it is propagandism. You find in a whole day, one station has about 4 panels going to discuss politics in a day. And in all of them, with 3 people each, you'll find only one person is struggling to put correctly the government's position. I am not saying the government is good, and I'm not saying the government can. The government is what should be criticized the most, because it is a giant monster that if it turns rogue, can destroy a people. And if it is good, it is also good for the country. But I must tell you today that the mainstream media in Kenya is largely co-conspirators in the war against the government of the day. And watch out, look out. Of course, when they say things, they are factual. They are videos they are picked from the streets for things that are happening.
Yes.
They are clips they have come from with, like they will come with them from coming. But I told you, in propaganda sometimes, they choose to show you what makes the government bad and leave out what makes it good. So even though what they are showing you is propaganda, but they are factual, they are the truth. But they are not telling you the whole truth. They have left what would have made the government look good. The other day I was telling some people that there was a meeting in Kitengela and it was very big. But the propaganda about it was the choice of the location. It is the main road, main street in Kitengela town. You don't even need to mobilize anybody. Just put a microphone and a PA system, and people get out of their shops, of their residences, and the road is full. And you say, mammoth crowd.
Pandemonium.
That is what we used during the Azimio protest against President William Ruto in 2023. The Soforia movement. Did you realize the pattern? The first one went to Mukuru Kwanjenga through Imara Daima. And the road was full, because that is a slum. The crowd is there. Normally in Kenya today, when you walk across a slum, come residential, you find that you wriggle across people, or you go to Kibra in the evening. The next one, they went to Madare through Isili. Why do I say they go through Isili? They go through Imara Daima. Because people there can hear they are coming. They can listen to the sounds. People will tell them, oh, they are on our way. So by the time they get there, the road is full. And people watching on TV say, pass, now the government is going home. You what we ought. But you have gone to where they are. It is called a hijacked crowd. After that, they went to Kawangware. Then they went to Kamukunji in Kibra. In this city, anyone who wants to make a political statement, if you are on one political divide, you go to Githurai. There is a ready crowd. If you are on the opposite political divide, you go to Kamukunji in Kibra. There is a ready crowd. That crowd is not yours. You have not mobilized them. You have gone where they live and work and do business. So that is how propaganda changes how we think. And many people just swallow it and say, wow, did you see that crowd? If you want a crowd that will tell us whether you are popular or not, you take it to a stadium. Like in Nairobi here, if you want to know, take it to Nyayo or Kasarani. If I get out of my house in Kibra and travel to Nyayo to come and watch you, then you know you're popular. But if you come where I live, definitely I can't sit in the house as you talk out. Even if I hated you, I will come out. And I'll be part of your count for a large crowd. But the mainstream media owe us the truth. They owe us responsible reporting. They owe us factual reporting. They owe us balanced reporting, but they are not giving it to us. They are not. In fact, I had expected that after Mheshimiwa Koimburi was found to have abducted himself, and Kianyagia was also found to have abducted himself, the media should have run an investigative reporting of how this happened and told us whether even some of the others who had not been caught also did the same. But you see, they know very well that the people do not think outside the box. I normally say we, the public, are lazy thinkers. When a report comes that Owini's opponent has been murdered, they do not say I'm the first suspect. They say I am the only suspect. There's no other. They don't think outside the box. And they don't even realize political opponents can go to great lengths to kill their own relatives for political ends. That is why I do a lot of research on what happened. Is it propaganda or not? But our unfortunate thing is our media houses have grouped together. The reason we may not talk about it here for now, so that they bring the government of the day down.
Thank you so much. I want to take another round of questions. Yes, can start from you.
So, I'm Faris, a student of the University of Nairobi.
You can stand up, please.
Yeah, so I think so. I can
No,
block
just
the others.
proceed.
Okay.
So, a student of economics. So, I've loved the concept of the flow of the propaganda issue, everything, and I think so. Even I can plug myself even understanding the concepts in the political science ground for me to be able to understand all these facts. So my question is, we as the young generation, so when leaders say that the youth movements are the concept of propaganda, is it that they want to silence the dissent, and how can we as the young generation, the Gen Zs, protect ourselves from the manipulation, and even not to be influenced negatively, but to be influenced positively with the propaganda issue.
Thank you. We have a next question. Another one, please. Okay, you're the lady. Next.
My name is Shelvin,
Yes.
and I've learned something that you've said that propaganda is tasty, juicy. So I'm currently under in politics in school. Trying to vie. So don't you think? Can you think sometimes like the propaganda can also help somebody in gaining? Do you think like I'm supposed to be so truthful to people to gain their trust, or should I be at some point you have just to use propaganda so as to get what you want?
All right. I think we'll have to answer that advice.
Okay. First of all, there is no powerful tool that is better than the truth. It's just that the reason why propaganda sells very fast is because truth also moves very slowly. And most of the time, there is no alternative. Okay?
Yeah.
So, if you are a person who is running for office, it is good for you to first of all research properly and get to understand what is the real need of the people that you want to lead. After you've researched properly, then you know the real thing of why you need to lead them. Look for the real solution. Because at the end of the day, when people listen to reality, they're able to see that actually this is reality. That's why when you sit there and you're listening to Charles Owino here, you're able to feel like, wait a minute, by the way, I think that is actually true. So the only difference was that you delayed to hear it, or it delayed to reach you. So what you just need to do is get the right problem of the people and get the right solution and move it as fast as possible. Then you'll be able to counter propaganda. At the end of the day, remember I started by telling you, propaganda doesn't have legs. It is so easy to kill it. It does not have legs. So the moment you become a bit analytical and make people take a backseat and want to ask themselves, by the way, is this really true? And that's why you realize that, and allow me to use this example, that about 2 years ago, was it and a half, when during the impeachment of the former deputy president, your emotions were so high, and so there was so much sympathy around him. And when he spoke to the media at that time, even his Facebook page alone would be like 300,000 guys are busy watching live because we were working on the emotion. And the things that he was telling us were so juicy. Why? Because, you know, propaganda is just a very complicated name for udaku. Sisi tu tunapenda udaku. So at that time, we all want to hear this thing that, you know, then I told the president this when we were seated in State House. You see the way we love those stories. Now, with the time, your level of interest in those stories has gone down. The same gentleman had an interview, I think 2 days ago, but you're not as interested as you were before. Because with the time, you're able to sit down and ask yourself, this thing actually hapa hivi ujamana to enjoy. And that's what I'm telling you. When you anchor your knee right, it will definitely move. That guy seated behind you has come to my office severally, and we discuss how he can do his campaigns. And you see that that's why he'll be winning very soon. And he's not doing propaganda. And then there was a question from my brother here about why are the young people the ones who are being accused of being the highest consumers of propaganda? It is true because number one, we don't research. We have lazy thinking. What we hear is what we consume. And that's why today you go to your TikTok, I don't know how old you are, but you are going to find an 18-year-old there advising all of us on marriage. And we'll all consume. And some of you will leave your relationships, and even lazy thinkers who are adults will still listen to the 18-year-old and leave their 30-year-old marriage on the basis of an 18-year-old girl who has rarely ever had any relationship. Just because she had a phone, she put it up there and said, now let me tell you 4 principles why your husband doesn't love you. And we consume. So at the end of the day, I want you to internally ask yourself as a young person, I want you to ask yourself, when last did you hear something and dug deeper? When last did you? I've just received a message here from a gentleman called Collins, one of my mentees. This gentleman got an accident on the Thika superhighway, and the car collapsed and it rolled. The gentleman was rushed to hospital. Okay, this gentleman belongs to this party called Green what?
Green movement.
Green Movement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This gentleman, after getting to the hospital, he called me yesterday and told me, Bana, it is so tough. The bills are so high. Then I asked this brother of mine, my brother, why isn't SHA helping you? You know what he told me? He told me SHA doesn't work. So I asked him, do you have it? He said, no, SHA does not.
What?
I told him, let's do this first. Confirm what is your amount that you need to pay at SHA. Let us pay that first. So that by the time it's not working, we are sure that SHA, you see, we paid for it, it's not helping us, then we pursue other means. The gentleman has sent me this screenshot, and I'm here with you can confirm.
Sure, yeah, there's a screenshot sent.
From SHA, right?
Yes.
It has paid.
Yes.
What has he texted me just down there?
She said it's working. We thank the president.
He has lived all his time knowing that SHA is not working. Why is it not working? Because he had on social media and people have said it's not working. So it is actually not working. So that is one of the problems with us as young people. We don't dig deeper, we don't fact check, and you have to know one thing. And the gentleman behind you asked Charles that question and said, why doesn't government have enough people to make sure we know these things? Whereas government needs people, there's one thing you must also know. It is your responsibility as a citizen to know everything that government is doing. Most of the time, our laziness and convenient thing, I told you propaganda thrives when we always want to put the burden of blame to someone else. Yes. And that's why, even when we discover that we don't have enough, when we discover that we are wrong in what we know, the next thing we want to do is to accuse government of not having given us information. So that at the end of the day, the burden of blame is on someone else. So I want you to ask yourself, every information you hear, to what extent have you ever verified it? When they tell you that this one has done this, to what extent have you ever dug deeper?
Yes.
And I want you to ask yourself, all of you here are political animals, and that's why you're here. This leader that you love so much, you revere this leader so much, like you hear them, you get goosebumps. Some of them are here yourselves now, you're calling themselves their names. I want you to ask yourself, away from the emotions, what exactly has this person done that is so fundamental that has made you be there? If you can dig deeper and really find reason, then you're on the right track. If you can dig deeper and you realize that, wait a minute, I actually don't have a reason, then you know that you are not on the right track. Always ask yourself, stop listening to the leader and loving them for the problems of the country that they're able to articulate. No, all of us can do it. Listen to the leader and love them for the solutions of the country that they're able to provide. Right. And when that leader is able to provide you with sufficient solutions that the country needs, that one is good. Then go. I said, when you listen to the leaders, yes, don't love them for the level of articulation of the problem of the country that they can do or that they can articulate. Do you know why? All of us here know the problems of this country. For instance, there is youth unemployment in Kenya, there is youth unemployment in Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Why should a leader come and tell you that there is youth unemployment, then you say he's intelligent?
That is my takeaway.
Yet you also knew that that problem exists. So love a leader based on their capacity to speak to you about the solutions that they have for the country. And after you've loved them for the solutions they have been able to prescribe for the country, if the leader has been in existence, ask yourself, that mastery of solution, when they were in office, how did the country change because they are intelligent and they were in office once, and so look at what they were able to do. So if you are loving a senator today, you are loving a governor today, you are loving whoever today, can you be able to ask yourself, away from this person repeating the problem to me, the problem that I already know, using their office, what have they done that has changed this country? When we get to that level, then we'll be able to make progress. Otherwise, when we continue being consumers of very emotional information and whatever, I see those things on TikTok, and Gen Zs are very good at recording and say, look at this. Una tear gas aje. Rally. And we all get mad. Una aje. And all of us get very emotional about that particular element. Now, we forget everything else about leadership and governance. We forget everything else about what we need in the education system. Then we drive all our love and love for a leader based on unatia gas aje.
Rally.
Thank you. I hope I've answered you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah, you want to respond? Yes.
okay. So I think I've had several questions, and what I can say as somebody who has participated in student leadership before, we normally say as comrades we are barometers of wisdom and decanters of knowledge. So what I can tell you is that an honest man dies single. If there's a lot of bad propaganda about you, it is also, if I had your question right, you are asking whether we can have good propaganda. So it is up to you to come up with the good things about you that can then help you win the election for those purposes. But again, as young people, as Gen Zs, most of the time we are also producers of propaganda. We are also consumers of propaganda. So I think what is coming out as a necessity is you have to learn fact finding as a skill. So that then before you need to have what you call a nudge button. That before you click that repost button, before you share something, you are able to then verify. Which then brings me to the question of whether we can either use artificial intelligence to verify some of the information that we come across online. We have, for example, the one that, is it Charles Owino mentioned it, Google search, where you can just put the photo and then check, so that you are not sharing something that is not correct. Because when you go in to a court of law, you will be told ignorance is no defense. Ati sikujua while I was sharing. So I think that also speaks to the role of the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act when you talk about false publication. So it is your responsibility as a Gen Z to then acquaint yourself with this information so that ukishiko usiseme sikujua, si ndio? And then lastly also, we have got the question of the extremist side of propaganda. We have seen countries that have fallen as a result of propaganda that has been shared. Because as far as I'm concerned, we have countries that have never recovered from that. You remember the case of Libya, for example. There was a lot of misinformation that whipped emotions that time. But to date, the country has never recovered. So as young people, much as normally, most of the times we like holding leaders accountable, the best way is to hold ourselves accountable. That accountability should start with us. So that if I find you sharing something which is not factual, then you are to blame, and you are culpable to be even charged in a court of law, si ndio? Lakini most of the time, because we assume I'm young, bado sijui vitu mingi nini, as somebody said, bado sina hata kiatu ya kufanya nini, ya kuuza. So I take advantage of that, and then, so fact finding, very, very important skill, especially across social media,
Yes.
and even in mainstream media. And then lastly, somebody said that some of the propaganda that we see are as a result of narratives that have been told over and over again consistently. Which brings me to one of the writers, Chimamanda, who says that stories matter. Many stories matter. How many times they are told, who tells them, and to who it is told. So we have to be very keen. Let us have a third lens that we then need, use to check the information that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Done very well, done
You're
very well.
standing. Okay, that's good. Give him some. Stand, my brother. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Adams, just before you chime in, I wanted to he talked about Libya.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask the comrades here, when he talked about the troubles of Libya, has any of you ever seen a smiling photo of Muammar Gaddafi?
Gaddafi never
Do
smiled.
you think he has never smiled?
Yeah.
So why do you think all the photos you have of him make him look like a very dangerous guy? Now that is what I'm telling you. That's how propaganda works. Okay?
Yeah.
It is meant to make you believe, because we are trying to design this person to be a terrorist in the eyes of the people. So the only photos that will be shared of them will look a certain way. Do you think all photos that are in your phone right now look nice about you? We can choose those ones, the worst ones only. And those are the ones we market to the world. That's how the world will perceive you. Thank you, Adams.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Mwalimu, you
I
were
wanted
itching.
to say something before you spoke, but you're going to speak a lot about Shah. You remember you told us the story of
His friend.
Shah not working.
Yes.
And then you, as you sit here, what do you take Shah to be? A hospital or a laboratory or a doctor. SHA is the underwriter of your medical bills. That is its job. So if you walk into a hospital and they tell you hakuna dawa, that is not SHA. If they tell you your name is not in the register of those who have contributed for SHA, yet you have been contributing, that is not SHA failing. That is maybe your governor who is supposed to pay you or your employer. SHA is not a doctor, it is not a hospital, it is not any of that. It is the fund that will pay your bill. The only time you can say it is not working when you have tried to seek it to pay your bill and it has not done it. But they have made you believe SHA is not working. And I don't know if you remember, majority of the anti-SHA commentators, when they go on TV like I am now, they call it SHA, she, shaw.
Yeah.
You know what that tells you of them? They can't distinguish between SHA, SHIF, and all those many things. So they have no knowledge about it. All they go there is to discredit SHA. Yeah, that is what they go to do. And I wanted to say something here before I succumb. How to protect yourself from this misinformation and disinformation on social media. Yes. One, if it is a statement of news, just Google. Even if you find it, check the date. Ilikuwa lini na wapi. Number two, do a photo search. Google these days, do a photo search. If they have put a photo there of already doing 1, 2, 3, most likely you're also going to find that photo online. It could be something I did 10 years ago. They have brought it now. Or it could be somebody in Ghana who looks like me. They have done that before. Yes, to me, when I was most hated in Luanyansa, one day somebody put a photo of a man running somewhere and said already was being chased in Siaya. And when you Google that photo, you find completely a different person. Another thing which you can do, you check the date of posting and also counter-check with the legacy media, the one you normally call mainstream. For example, there was a news post by something that calls itself Kenya News, saying Dr. Ido Denga rejects President William Ruto's appointment. That one is so easy to prove. Just check with the mainstream media because that is big news. If it is not in the mainstream media, then these ones are fake. Some are so big that the mainstream media can't ignore them. Then also, you can confirm with your friends. They are your friends which are very politically active. Like me, when I meet sensational news on social media, I know who to call first about them before I share or make a statement on them. And there is also the one of checking with the concerned party, like the case of Dr. Ido Dinka rejects President William Ruto's appointment. Pick the phone, call Ida or anybody who is close to her. They will tell you, no, hajasema hivyo. Or just check where the subject is.
Yes.
There was a time we were being told that a politician was heckled at a rally in Kisumu. But when we checked, we found the politician was outside the country. So those are some of the things that you need to do to ensure you are safe with the fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I think we want to take another round of questions, if you don't mind, our guests. Any? Okay. Mwalimu, Honorable here.
Or statement.
Yes. Please pass over.
Thank you very much, our panelists. And what I've gathered from the responses is that propaganda is like alcohol. You consume it, you feel nice, and you think you have run away from your problems, only to wake up and find more. So I think my lady here said, isn't it nice to use propaganda to win things if you want them? Yes, but they will catch up with you eventually. But the question I want to ask is that our brains seem to work very well and easily with propaganda, more than the hard, heavy lifting work of finding the truth. How can we train our minds to be able to do the heavy lifting of finding the truth before we fall for the propaganda. I think that is for Mundalo.
Okay.
And last but not least, I've heard Mwalimu say that we need to fact check this using AI
And Google search.
and Google search. I've tried to fact check whether man has ever been to moon, and all this AI and search engines tell me yes. But I know for a fact no man has ever been to the moon. Where do I get the truth?
That one, I'm the one who will answer it.
All right. Yes.
Or somebody wants to answer you there.
No comment.
No, you just ask yours. You need to
Hiyo ni
baadaye.
yako.
Yes.
Mimi nauliza swali.
Yeah, use the mic, please.
Thank you. Now, our chairperson, group chairperson, Onage comrades, this is a question that should be going to you. I think because as the youth, we are getting misled. Truth be told, tunapata information that is not true. Speaking from someone who has known the government with the projects, it is not everything that is being told or is being said to us that is true. My main problem is becoming how, as the Gen Zs, we analyze this information, because it happens that there is an information outside there which is totally a propaganda, but it is there to attack the audience. So how, again, do you recommend us as the young people to be more in articulations of our own reasoning, so that we also don't propel these informations that are not true? Because at the end of it all, it's affecting so many people. For example, you'll hear some rallies taking place, but siku hizi kuna AI, there is artificial intelligence, and it does a lot of things to confuse people. So maybe in terms of information transfer and landing to our youths at these particular regions across the country, so that we can avoid being misguided, we really need to think as an organization, how can we help leverage this information so that tunakuwa na accurate, because it is good to have an accurate information being propelled than having a propaganda that is misguiding the nation. And if we are all misguided, I think we're not going to have a nation at hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any, before I bring the mic back to the panelists, any question? Any concern? All right, I think.
Okay.
You have one? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My comment is that in the today's system, everyone behaves like Joseph Goebbels, because he was the minister of propaganda in the fall of Germany during the Second World War. We find that in the current people who are not within the government are trying to trade on propaganda to pull down the government. Like, for instance, we find that just recently, last month, the former impeached deputy president was condoning on now the conduct of officers. But again, when we reflect on his remarks when he was in the government during the protest, he acknowledged that we have a very gallant officers who managed to contain the criminals who are pretending to be protesters. But when the same gallant officers were trying to now to control the goons he hired to cause havoc in the church, then now he was now profiling the officers of not doing their work. So my comment and take on that is that, first and foremost, as young people, we must synthesize on what we take and what we leave. Social media is very interesting, and as advice said here, that algorithm is being built on what you love most and what you like. Actually, me, my FIP is music. If you check on what I listen to most, it's music.
Okay.
But I write a lot,
Okay.
most on politics. So as young people here is that don't love what you hear, but love what you read and understand. Because through reading and understanding, make you get much information of what you are about to share. Because most of the visual impressions are meant to appeal and divert your attention on what you believe in, but make you believe on what you see. So that's my take. So as young people, let us invest much in reading than visual impressions, because visuals misleads.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. A round of applause for his comment, please. Thank you. I think we'll start with the advice. Huh?
Yeah, I think the question from Mheshimiwa was about how do we train ourselves then to avoid finding propaganda very pleasant to our ears and to our soul and to our everything. There's a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I don't know how many of you have come across that title. I know many of us might have come across the title, but the results might be different when I say how many of you have read it. So there is something that happens to you as a person and as a human being. Let me pose this question again. When you choose not to eat from today, what is the net effect? What, at the end of the day, what is going to happen to you? The first thing is that you are going to become weak.
Yes.
And then next thing what will happen is you die. Okay?
Yes.
So, if that is the case with you and your physique, and again, if you choose to start going to eat healthy today, if you choose to start eating healthy and also choose to start exercising, what is going to happen to you? You're going to become strong and energetic, right?
Yes.
Now that's about your physique. Now, have you ever asked yourself what happens to your brain? Because just the way when you don't eat, you're going to become weak and then you're going to die. It is equal measure with your brain. If your brain is fed on nothing, what is going to happen is that it's also going to become weak. The moment your brain is weak, that is now what Mwalimu calls, you end up as a lazy thinker. Now, the moment you become a lazy thinker, that's why you quickly consume anything. Okay?
Yes.
And you have to understand that there is a position that life accords all of us. First of all, when all of us do nothing about ourselves the moment we are born and we are just there, our brain is negative. Our brain is not at first positive, okay? That's why I started by giving you the analogy that when there's something that happens outside there, the first things you're going to think is there is Al-Shabaab, there is what? We are not going to think positively, okay? And that's why when you move into your room, yeah, when your girlfriend moves into your room and she sees some sandals of your sister here, the first thing your girlfriend is going to think is not that, wow, she must have come from political headache and came with some colleagues. Is that what your girlfriend is going to think? The first thing in her head is that you are cheating. Okay? Unagongewa. So, by nature, our brains, first of all, operate on negativity. So for you to be able to train yourself to an extent that you don't consume propaganda, is you must be able to work on the fabric and stamina of your brain. So that first, learn to start consuming things that are factual. The moment you start consuming more content that is factual, even your subconscious mind starts registering it. So you become hardened. And sometimes you will not even need to fact check. You will see it and know it. You will see it and feel this is a lie. Why? Because your subconscious mind has already registered, because you have trained it very well. So it is strong enough to tell that this one is manipulation. So you will not fall quickly to manipulation. But if you don't, you'll always stick to the negative path. Why? Because it is always easy for you to find solace in such kind of things. And that is why, to take another format of the same question is, you realize that all of us know, and if I go back to the biggest youth problem, unemployment, right? Most of us are unemployed. It is easier for us to say we need employment and someone is not providing the employment to us. But if we are asked what is our skill, how many of us can answer that question? How many people here need a job? How many know the job they need? How many know the job they need? The hands have gone down, I've remained with one. How many have a sure skill they can provide? So, those are the fundamental questions. Those are the fundamental questions that we must ask ourselves. Because most of the time, it is more convenient to say so. If you ask our elders here, how many times they have hired their personal assistant, you might be shocked. Some of them have fire personal assistants 5 times a year. Why? Because these people cannot just do the right thing. And yet they are young people. Yeah? Most of you have interacted with households, right? Maybe you have an aunt or sister, a mother, whatever. How many times does your mom or your aunt or whoever you know fire their house help? Many times, right? In a country that has a lot of unemployment. How come those people are not maintaining their jobs? There must be a problem somewhere. Okay? There must be a skill gap somewhere. So 2 things. Number 1, we must train ourselves that our mental strength is heavy enough that way we cannot be able to fall prey of propaganda easily. Number 2, we must be able not to fear responsibility. Don't fear responsibility. When you don't fear responsibility, you will be able not to fall prey of propaganda. Number 3, do not become the kind of person who becomes so ingrained, and this happens when you don't train your mind. And that's why, when you don't train your mind, you become so ingrained in propaganda that you hate facts. Do you know some of you hate facts? Because your brain has become so lazy, it is at the point of death. So your brain, because it's at the point of death, and you believe that President Ruto is a bad person, and this government is a bad government, when you hear that SHA is working, you feel offended. Okay? Because you are so ingrained that you do not want, your brain even does not want to consume the positivity, even that will help you. You become so ingrained that sometimes even that SHA, even if you are the one who is sick, and you go to the hospital, and SHA works for you, you will still be offended. Why? Because your brain did not train. So it became so lazy, it became so weak, it died. So at the end of the day, what controls you is your emotion. And so because you have sunk so much into the propaganda, you hate facts so much. That's why anyone tells you something positive, you say they have been paid. When Mundalo tells you, say, Mundalo shida yake, unajua hao ndio watu wanalipwa na serikali. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, I think starting from where Mudala's left, we really have to invest as young people in reading. We have to be perpetual students so that we don't just end up reading Instagram post and X post peke yake. So reading, because normally it is said that once the mind expands, it can never go back to its initial size, because you're going to need to fact check. But what are you going to fact check if you don't have information? You see, the other thing you are doing wrongly as Gen Z is that you are going to, you want to get information from somebody who should be entertaining you, somebody who is looking for numbers, you see, somebody who is an influencer. So in the long run, what you have done is you have made an influencer become your primary source of information. For many of you who have been on YouTube, there are a lot of saikuna, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people doing content. And when you look at some of the headlines in ziko hapo, they are so misleading. So if you're somebody who is not interacting with different sources of information, you are likely to be misled. Unapata hapo Ida Odinga, Sijidas, nini, Gaucho, Ivo. So information unatoa pale is very misleading. So what I want to say, let us perpetually read. If it is information you're looking for, kuna those sites and you know these ones are credible sources of information, because over a period of time, zimeonyesha kwamba they are reliable sources of information. So wewe si mtu mwenye unaenda TikTok to look for information. You know, when I'm going to TikTok, I'm going to be entertained, I'm going for music, I'm going for such and such. Then the last thing, I think if I heard you correctly, Tim, you are asking, how do we ensure that the information that has been gathered here cascades to the grassroots level? How do we take these discussions out of these boardrooms? Indio? I think as somebody who represents a group of people, it is my responsibility then that as I leave this place, I go and report to them whatever I learned. Mimi, as a rule of the thumb, I don't post something I've not verified, especially on my status, on my FB, anywhere. At the time that Baba died, Mimi, I waited for Citizen Kwanza were announced that Baba indeed, because tulikuwa tumeanza kusikia rumors, ndio. But I waited until Citizen confirmed that indeed the enigma has passed on before I could then post and maybe share stuff. The same to when Trump captured Maduro. Nilikuwa nasikia, oh, this and this, but I had to go and confirm from CNN and from BBC. So I think those small rules are what will save us from misinformation and stuff. Then again, lastly, as I finish also, let us love our country, because at the end of the day, it is better to have a failed country than to have no country at all.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Mwalimu. There was this question of how do we protect ourselves from propaganda. he has already spoken it, but let me make it just direct. Let every new information be a suspect. To him, every new information is a suspect. Raila amekufa, suspect. Trump has captured Maduro, that is suspect information. Until you verify. Also, you check the source and the generator of the information, because so that you get his political affiliation. What would he like the people to believe? If you find the news coming from him is also what you would like people to believe, that is a serious suspect. And then the greatest way that you need to understand propaganda is a con game. Being a con game, it exploits your desires. If you are a 29-year lady who desires a husband, they can use that to con you, because they know your period of falling in love is shorter. Wakikuingiza box, they can con you. There was a Nigerian in this country who had a church. In that church, there was a day for single women who are looking for husbands. And that day you give 1,000. But the following weekend, before he prays for you for the husband, somebody who got one from previous prayers testifies. But you see, he knows that many of you are not statistically literate. Statistically means if you have 1,000 women in a room, the probability that 1 or 2 will get a new relationship leading to marriage is 102%. It's obvious. So you will not miss somebody, one person, to come and testify that, you see, after last weekend's prayer, somebody this called me, and then this happened, and now we are dating. And then they say, Cooper, this thing works. It works even without prayer. That is what I wanted to say. So people tend to use your desire. If you are a livestock seller, a con man will present to you an animal that is so cheap to buy. And because your desire is to get cheap animals to go and resell, that is what he will use to con you of your hard-earned money. So propaganda is a con game. It exploits your desires to get something. It exploits that. And then there is something I wanted to say. It is not very directly, but it is a case of propaganda. Let's see this. We have a road here called the Expressway. Yeah?
Yeah.
It was built under the public-private partnership, and we pay to use it. There is another road here that is underway using the public-private partnership called Rironi to Mau Summit Road, and it will go beyond. And we'll also pay to use it. But now there are people saying we cannot pay for that road. We shouldn't build that road. It is not a priority. Don't you see some propaganda in there? This one they said nothing about.
And they also say
there is another one. It's called the Kenol Marua Road. You know Kenol Marua Road?
Yes.
Kenol was supposed, that road was supposed to leave Kenol as a dual carriageway, the first long distance dual carriageway in Kenya. Then when it reaches Marua, it's supposed to go straight to Nanyuki originally. When President William Ruto came, he decided that that road must pass through Nyeri because that is a major town there. But the original person who was presiding over it did not want it to pass through Nyeri, he wanted to take it to Nanyuki because he has interest in Nanyuki. That the road would rather go to Nanyuki than Nyeri. Now that information, you will use it in future, not now. Then, something I wanted to say before I leave here, because I don't know whether I will talk again. There is a danger in having a very young person as a president. Power is addictive. If you make this guy the president of Kenya today, he's a very good guy. I've listened to him. Means well. But power will change him slowly by slowly, the same way it changed Museveni and everybody else. Until he begins to think he was a cut above the rest. He's too special. He should remain in power forever. So the next thing, he will try to change the constitution. And then he will try to change the laws in such a way that it gives him more power. He's becoming addicted to power. The same way when you start drinking alcohol, you take a glass every evening, then you take 2, then you take 3, then you take a whole bottle.
Then you take
You're getting addicted to the drink. Similarly, you get addicted to power. You keep on wanting more and more. But if you find a very tough constitutional system like the one in Kenya, where to change some of those things, you do not just need parliamentarians where you'll buy, you'll need the people to go to a referendum. Then you find when you have walked out of power, you still want to use the resources you probably stole when you are in power to control the new government that has come in. Now, that is the example of Kenya today. When President Moi left office, we never saw him in public again trying to influence anything. When Kibaki left, we never saw him again in public trying to influence anything. But when Uhuru left at just 60-something, we can't rest. So that is the problem you are having. So we have to be very careful. We have very powerful positions that younger people should hold as they wait to hold the presidency as a final journey in leadership. Ukitoka hapo after 10 years, you don't want to hear anything about government. Then we'll be having a very peaceful country, because a person who has become the president, number 1, is addicted to power. Number 2, he is very rich, because you know how we operate in Kenya. So you may want to control even those who are coming. How do you control? There was a time in Uganda, after Idi Amin was overthrown, and Idi Amin overthrew somebody to become the president. But after he was overthrown, Ugandans were now skeptical about military takeovers because Amin didn't treat them well. So the military in Uganda became very powerful. They were addicted to power because of the Amin. So they were taking power from a civilian president, then Obote, then giving it to anybody they like. If that person doesn't give them the power they want, they overthrow him again, Binaisa. Then they give it to Lule again. If that one doesn't do what they want, they overthrow him again, give it to Okello. Until Museveni came is when that cycle ended. Power is addictive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. That was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, our panelists. And probably to give us the last word is Mr. Ogendo, because you're the senior most. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Or can I? You'll give me closing report.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I think
The mic. Yeah.
This is why I wanted somebody to be roaming with the mic.
Mwalimu, Mudalo, and Tony, you squandered my question. You didn't respond to it.
No, you ask it. We are still here. No, we can't leave any question unanswered. Even you, the audience.
Yes. I asked the question, where do I verify my information? Because history has been rewritten and distorted. Today, if I go to any of the AIs and ask them, when was man
In the moon.
to the moon? They will tell me Apollo 11, 1969. And I know for a fact, no man has ever been to the moon.
Mheshimiwa, hold it there. It looks like you are going to seek. You are trying to verify if man has ever been in the moon, but already you have already formed opinion that nobody went to the moon.
Yes.
I think I have another answer.
Okay.
Yes, because you see, some
Is it at denial stage? Eh?
yes, I think I still have a
Mudalo,
Yes.
respond to him.
You see, world information is largely anchored on propaganda. And that's why I said you must train your brain, and when it gets the stamina, there are things it will reject. For instance, what does your history book tell you about the first man to see Mount Kenya? And that, okay? Do you really think that's true? Because there must have been people who lived around. But now, the only reason you're able to do that is because you've trained your brain. Otherwise, at the point when you read it, you believed it and you wrote it as an answer. Because your brain was still so weak. Okay? So most of the world is run on a propaganda that has been well calculated and even put in textbooks, and it's called syllabus. So some of the reason why Mheshimiwa would be able to get such an answer and he stands a chance to being right is because he has expanded the bandwidth of his brain too much. And that's why.
Can you repeat that?
Because that's why when you expand the bandwidth of your brain beyond certain levels, there are things you'll obviously look at and you will know that this one here, this one is a lie. That's why we cannot base all fact on AI. Why? Because some of the things that have been done in this world haven't been incorporated in books and written, yet in truth, they are actually propaganda. That is why the biggest fact check mechanism you have is your mind. The more you stretch it, the better you are. I don't know if that's the moment I can also finish.
The only reason why I can probably agree with you, people are supposed to have gone to the moon, but they only took one photo. Take any photo of the moon. Just one photo with the American flag and some man and some vehicle. Period.
And
nothing else.
And it's even more complicated, Mwalimu, because they say the first man, which makes him one, to go to the moon, yet they have the photo. So who took it? So that
Okay.
Can I give my closing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you can give your closing remarks now.
Yeah, so in finishing, I just wanted to say that when we look at ourselves, especially with the younger generation, I always ask myself, between 1963, 1970s, and today, at what point, which people are more educated than others? Is it today or is it the past? Today. It's today. If it is today, then again I ask myself, how come today we have a lower quality of elected leaders than before?
Yeah.
So,
Take the mic.
The majority of our leaders are people who learned before. So that is the reason why
the majority of us?
the one we are having today, if you speak about the presidents today,
Yes.
the leaders that if we say that the majority of those who are learned today are less qualified, or maybe how you mentioned it, but I know it's our pioneering age. We are getting in to those positions.
But how long have we been getting in, my brother? Because if we certainly agree that we are more enlightened today than we were in the past, then in fact, most of those who were there in the past died. They are not even there. So what is the median age of our county assemblies? Do you know the median age of our county assemblies? The median age of our county assemblies is the millennial generation.
Yeah, true.
Okay?
Yeah.
The median age of our parliament,
boomers.
is people who border on late millennial. And so then I ask myself, so is it true then that we are more educated, or is it a mirage? And that's why part of me thinks that we must not be misled to think that going through school education system makes us educated.
Indeed.
Because going through school education system is a dictate of parents and government. Can you repeat that?
Behind these things. I'm loving it so much.
Saying we must not be decided to think that going through school education system makes us educated. Because going through that system is a dictate of parent and government. That's why it's on the news when people have not taken children to transit to grade 10. Meaning it is not personal responsibility, it is government responsibility. So it cannot end up making us educated. Being educated is an intentional search for knowledge. Unfortunately, we go through the system of education and develop an arrogance and pride that makes us think we are educated. But we just went through a system, but we are indeed very foolish. That's why propaganda eats us. That's why we are victims of fake news, because we can't verify, we can't do the basics. So for us to be able to get where we want to get, we must make being educated an intentional thing. An intentional approach, like my brother here who says, when I see it, I must verify. Now that makes you informed and that makes you educated. Let us not be able to be led to think that because you went through a system of education, then you are educated. At the end of the day, it's giving us fake arrogance and fake innuendo that we are so high in society. Yet when we are asked, okay, courtesy of that education, what can we really do? We don't have answers. Thank you.
Welcome. Next.
Yes, thank you so much for the very elaborate presentations that came before me.
Yes.
And I want to agree. If we are a generation that has been using calculators to do our mathematics, yet our parents used to do them without them, then I do not want to answer the question of who is more intelligent. The other thing is, I think that we as young people, especially as Gen Zs, part of what we have not been able to do is to demonstrate capacity to lead. So we must allow ourselves to be mentored, but it will be very difficult to be mentored by people we believe we are more intelligent than them. So I think let's take the initiative to continue learning, to equip ourselves with the relevant skills that will then demonstrate that we are fit for what is ahead of us. I think what we lack in this country is order, and it is because everybody believes that he knows, unaona. And someone mentioned it before, that the problem is that the intelligent are full of doubt, and then the otherwise are full of confidence, you see. So it is high time that we demonstrate this capacity. Let us read, let us work hardest on ourselves and not others, and let us love our country more. And then really, let us just allow ourselves to learn. Yeah, I think that normally we rush a lot. Even when we listen in such discussions, you see, people really listen not to understand, but to respond to what you have said, you see. So I think we have to be patient as young people. But then I believe there's hope, because in the midst of all this confusion, we also have people who have indeed done tremendous work. Yeah, so looking forward to the next discussion. I think this is very timely. And Mwalimu Odoyo, together with the team, congratulations on this edition. And we'll be looking forward to the other editions as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lemu, let me have your last word.
You are welcome one more time. I had asked Emmanuel here to make a WhatsApp group for friends of face-to-face with Gen Z. I am not sure he has made the group because I'm not there.
No, I can confirm to you here on air that I have made it.
Why am I not in that group?
Because you're a party.
No, I must be there. I'm a friend of this group.
Okay.
So that from time to time, we can discuss. Even them, they can propose that this time, let's go and discuss this very topic, because this is what we want to know more about. We don't have to impose on you the topics that we discuss. Meanwhile, you are welcome another day out here. I think there's a cup of tea there, I suspect. So you don't rush out before we interact out there. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Mheshimiwa Gino. Okay, that's enough. Okay, good evening once again.